Hell yeah. I believe this is our first Spanish cover ever. So thank you
Oh,
very
your
much.
first Spanish cover?
I think so. I really think so.
Oh,
Yeah.
well,
So we
that's
truly
nice.
appreciate that.
So, well, Matt, you released your 10th studio album in the Court of the Dragon, and you've been touring some days ago with Megadeth, Lamb of God, and Hatebreed. It's been quite different the last couple of months if you compare it to the pandemic times. How have you lived the last months?
I mean, it's amazing that we've actually been able to tour. As the whole world knows, no shows happened for 18 months or so, especially in North America. So we were able to tour. We didn't miss a single show of the US run. Unfortunately, the entire Canadian run, it wasn't canceled, but it was postponed because of different country regulations for getting in with the border and all sorts of different things. So those three shows are moved to next year, which I think kind of solidifies, thankfully, at least in our case, a Megadeth Lamb of God Trivium run for leg two. Because leg two wasn't confirmed, but since Canada got moved anyway, I think that kind of solidifies the chance. But besides that, we're planning to 5 to 10,000 people a night, which is insane for metal for America. That's something like you expect in Europe. Like, of course, Megadeth Trivium in sorry, excuse me, Hatebreed, Trivium, Lamb of God, Megadeth is going to draw 5 to 10,000 people in Europe, but America, that's kind of a rarer thing. So the fact there really was that, and that some of our craziest shows were in cities you'd never expect, like Rogers, Arkansas, was one of the greatest shows of the whole tour. It was amazing. It was amazing. Every precaution in the world was taken. As the world knows already, I was vaccinated. I had breakthrough COVID as well, so my immune system was. I was pretty. I believe the immunity is for several months, maybe 3 to 6 months. I'm not sure if the science is exact yet. Despite that, I still was masked everywhere except for stage, hotel, dressing room, and when we were eating. And we ate outdoors every single place. We didn't have one indoor meal on any of the days off. So we took every single precaution to make sure every show happened. And every show did happen. And it was amazing.
Hmm. And you released this album just 1 year and a half, more or less, after the previous one, with the Dead Men Say. Um, is it an album? Is a follow up to what the Dead Men Say, or for you is like a new album? Because for me, when I've been listening to the album, it's been very similar in a musical or instrumental way to the previous one. How has been for you this album?
For us, we never look at things as like, I mean, it can be looked at as a companion record, but for us, it's an entirely different thing. What we've done for the last three records was basically make the kind of music that we wanted to hear as fans of music. We didn't think, are people going to like this? Are people going to dislike this? It was purely written from the point of view of what do we want to hear as fans of metal, and that's what we made. And I do believe when I look back retrospectively on the entire career, records 1 through 7 are 1 through 7. Yeah, 1 through 7 are very different from each other. Ember is different from Ascendancy, is different from Crusade, from Shogun, from In Waves to Vengeance to Silence. All of those are very different records from each other. However, I feel like The Sin and the Sentence captured the best of everything before it. Then Dead Men captured the best of everything from Ember through Sin. And then Dragon captures the best of everything from Ember to what the dead men say and then takes it to the next place. That's what I feel like it sounds like. So you are correct in the fact that like you feel like it sounds semi similar in the vein of Dead Men, in the fact that it captures everything that is Trivium, and writes new songs on top of that.
Hmm. And you have repeat the same team when you have been working for the album with Joss, Paul, Ted. Um, do you feel? I guess you feel comfortable working with them, but now you have released this album for the next records. Do you want to follow this line of work, or will you change for get a new sound or a new style? I don't know.
I mean, I feel like if you sonically compare the two, they are different, even though they were recorded in the same place. The amp tones are very different. Like the last two records, Sin and Dead Men, were recorded in the way that we did the majority of our records, which is two guitar tracks, a left and a right. Whereas my favorite tones of my favorite Trivium records, we would say Ascendancy, In Waves, Shogun, those were done quad tracked, meaning a left and right and a left and right. There's four rhythm guitars at all times, which is this is the first time we've done that. I think since Shogun, actually. Everything else has been a left and right for the rhythm guitar. So this time it's back to the quad tracking. It's back to the last three. It's been the same ethos of that mentality of not thinking, are people going to like this or dislike this? And let's purely only make the kind of music we want to hear. Now, I know that sounds selfish, but what that is, it was a time and place where I looked back and said, what are our favorite records? So while we love everything we've ever done, there are 3 records that we did something kind of untrivium. And while this is very trivium, but I'll explain what I mean as we go on. The Crusade, Vengeance Falls, and Silence of the Snow are 3 times where we consciously made an effort to say, let's stay here, 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 not go here. It was where we set limitations on ourselves. For the rest of the records, we didn't think that. The rest of the records, we just made what we wanted to hear. And I believe that going back to that state of mind when you were a local band before you had any fans or anyone that liked your band, making the kind of music that you love is the purest way to make the kind of music that your band is. And we went back to that. I love Josh. I've actually finally been able to figure out a way to explain Josh Wilbur. Josh Wilbur is like Ted Lasso. I don't know if you've seen that TV show. It's incredible. It's one of the most heartwarming shows starring Jason Sudeikis. But Josh Wilbur is basically Ted Lasso. He's this, you have to watch the show. Just watch an episode and be like, oh, that's what Josh Wilbur's like. He really is. He's like the sweetest, nicest, most fun guy. And there's something about that. When we're the happiest, when we're in the best mood, we make our most angry, pissed off sounding music. I remember on Sin of the Sentence, I was actually in a bad mood and went in to record screaming vocals and it didn't sound good. The next day I came in, we were all laughing and joking and having a good time, back to our normal state of mind. And I sounded 10 times more angry in a good mood than I did in a bad mood. So there is something about the way we like to work. We don't like to work with giant personalities. We're a band that knows what we are. So the 4 of us, we come in with a very realized sound, a very realized record. We know where we want to go. We know what we're supposed to be as a band. So I feel like when we work with someone who maybe has their own, like, hey, I'm steering the ship, it doesn't work out that way. But when it's someone like Josh, it's a very team effort. We're now 5 members. There's no one singular person above anyone else, which I love.
Yeah. And for this record, have you felt happier than the previous one? Because you said that it's very important for you, the mood you are when you are, I don't know if writing the music or in the studio, but what was your mood when
Yeah,
you
the
were
last three were
the
just
same?
super collaborative, fantastic. Yeah, it's been ever since we've had that lineup of Alex, Paulo, Corey, myself, and Heaven Josh. It's just the right move. So when it comes down to record 11, I mean, unless Josh says he doesn't want to work with us, the plan is to record with Josh again. And the plan is to record this time finally at the hangar as we slowly build out our studio. But that won't be for a long time. I mean, I can't imagine we'll start working on record 11 till 2023 at least.
Hmm. And you've been working for the last albums with Alex on the drums. Do you feel that now you are in the strongest moment of Trivium?
100%. And the proof is right there in the shows. Like if anyone wants to take a moment to go to my Twitch, go to the videos and look at our last show and listen. Because our live stream shows are, or a board feed, it's basically the monitor mix. It's a monitor mix set up for Twitch. There's no repairing, there's no studio work, there's no
Yeah.
mixing and mastering, there's no correction. Just listen to that and you'll know right away. Like we are truly the best live band that we have ever been.
About Twitch, you are the fucking face of Streamlabs, which
Thanks.
I mean, you are Tribune, you are on the cover of Power Magazine, but you, Matt, are one of the faces of one of the main platforms nowadays of streaming, which is
Yep.
for me the future television. I mean, how is that situation for you? Because how can you separate? I mean, you mix both sides, music and Twitch, but how can you separate your music business and your Twitch business?
I believe I already have. Like it, thankfully, it's something I've been doing for 4.5 years. So I've been able to keep it going in this really great way. And a lot of people do ask, like, hey, Matt, this is Twitch, or maybe people haven't asked, but twitch.tv/Matthew Heafy. So it's quote Matt's page, but they're streaming Trivium. What I do when we're on tour, every penny that comes in of revenue, I split it between the band. Like it is now the Trivium page. So every sound check stream, every dressing room jam, every show stream, I tell people you do not need to subscribe to the channel. You do not need to pump any money in this channel. It's a free channel. Just come and hang out. So if people opt to do that, I do split amongst my band. Right when the show's done, I cash app everybody. I'm like, hey, here's the amount of subs. Here we go, and we just split it up. So that's, I feel like, the most diplomatic way to at least divvy up the Twitch channel from a financial standpoint. But as far as it goes to how do the two live together, I thought of hypotheticals, not because I want to do them. If I were to quit touring and making music in Trivium and just be a Twitch streamer, it wouldn't be sustainable because my channel is probably, it initially was like 99% just Trivium supporters. And I mean, just because they're the greatest people in the world. But now I'd say the ratio is probably 75% are Trivium supporters first, and the rest are people that came in through Twitch, which is pretty amazing. So it's definitely this thing where both exist because of both. My channel exists because of Trivium, but it wasn't like I started Twitch and the channel became what it was. I feel like a lot of musicians, because people are now used to what Twitch is, it's a little bit easier. Like musicians will come in and there'll be a following that's already there. When I first started talking, we're talking like the first year, the first couple months was like 0 to 7 people. And then when I started doing music, it blew up to like 200, but then it teetered off to about like 100. And it kind of would go up and down a little bit. And finally, when the pandemic happened, everyone was home. So then it kind of peaked at a couple thousand every day. But now that people are getting back into work, it switches around. So it's like, it's these things that need to live together. And the channel exists because of Trivium. And I don't want to say Trivium exists because of the channel. However, because of the channel, things like A Light or Distant Mirror, our pay-per-view show, that was incredibly successful because our fans already understood what it is to watch Trivium on a live stream. I believe we're one of the only like 3 to 5 bands that's live streams were actually live. I'm talking about live in the moment to the exact millisecond. Everything we were doing was happening live, which is fine. Like some things, the productions are too big to be able to truly make it live, but we did that. And it was extremely stressful and extremely difficult, but we live it. Like we live it in and out. We live live streaming in and out. All 4 of us have a Twitch. I'm probably the one that people see the most because once I get onto something, once I have a regiment, it's something I keep in my life. It's something I like. I don't do things I don't like to do, but things I like to do, I keep them up nonstop. Just like you see with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, or you can see with Twitch streaming. Like those are things that I really, really love.
Yeah, and how can a platform like Twitch helps to a band? Because probably, I mean, you are the face of Streamlabs, so you are a perfect sample to talk about that. How can Twitch help a band in a real economical way?
Yep. Well, if economical finances are definitely a plus. Like it's a platform that some musicians can opt to make it subscriber only. It's something I decided early on to not do. I decided like, hey, this is a free place. If you want to support, you can. Your support will be acknowledged and will be appreciated, but you don't have to. I look at Twitch as a thing, the world has so many things in it. There are so many bands, so many social medias, so many things we're hit with every time we open our phone, scroll on Instagram, scroll on Twitter, scroll on Facebook, scroll on TikTok. There's just like nonstop information. So I figure if there's a place that it's pretty much trivia most of the time, like I would rather that airspace, that time, that sound space, those thoughts be taken up with Trivium than by some other band. And I don't mean that in like a competitive mean way. Like I mean that in the sense where there's so much competition out there that if we're able to have our music there for our supporters or something going on for our supporters, like right now, people can go around with their phones in very specific cities around the world and help find these golden dragons through their phone app, like Pokemon Go, and then they can hear a little bit of our new record. Like I would rather come up with creative, interesting ways to have our supporters constantly engaged and constantly being given really cool things. Like today in 45 minutes, we have a new single dropping through Elder Scrolls Online. The video is amazing. It's a brand new song. It's a song that we actually wrote for the Shogun record that is now, we didn't record until in the Court of the Dragon. So just nonstop interesting things. And I feel like Twitch is one of those things. So it's like someone's like, I want to listen to Trivium, but I listen to them a lot this week. But Matt's online playing Call of Duty. I want to see what he's up to. Like it's that constantly being able to stay in touch. So finances aside, finances outside of all that, the reason why I jumped into this was not for monetary gain. I never thought I'd make a penny on Twitch. I was like, this is contradictory because of who I'm talking to, but Trivium has been the band. We've been the band that never gets the magazine covers. We never get the awards. We never get the press accolades or the other bands talking about us. But I guess you're changing that. We're about to be on your magazine cover, which is freaking amazing. So, which is gracias. But that's shifting a little bit. But before this conversation, we're usually the band that doesn't get any press acknowledgement. We don't get the awards. Other bands, they're nice to us, but they don't talk about us. They don't wear our shirts. They don't hype us up. However, our fans are the ones that have done it in spades and in droves. So for me, I was like, I want to go to the next length of people just going, hey, Matt, that food you ate, that food you ate at Kimet in Barcelona looks really cool, but I'd rather take them to the next level. Like, hey, here's the food I ate, and you can comment about it, but here's me talking to you right now, jamming. Here's me playing games and being terrible. You watching me be terrible at something,
Yeah.
us talking in that moment. So it was my way of giving back to the people that gave us even more. So that's my whole motivation of getting into it, was like, hey, I want to give the people that allowed me to do what I do even more than we already do. And that's the way we kind of approach everything. And I feel like as many bands that want to jump in. I think it's a case by case basis, depending on what wants to jump in. I've done consulting work for all sorts of different companies when it comes down the streaming space. Growing Boulder, which is a 50+ lifestyle cultural hub, I've helped them with their Twitch, and what they do is basically, I'm talking like 50 to 150 years old, like people who are in that space. Like, how does streaming make sense with that? I'm on the board for a veteran-run gaming streaming charity called Stack Up. So, like, how can Twitch make sense for them? I've helped with festivals like, hey, how does Twitch make sense with a music festival or a metal festival? And I believe it is a case by case basis. When it comes down to bands, we've talked a lot about, hey, should there be a twitch.tv/trivium? But I realize that's kind of over dilution with us. And because my channel has the most amount of followers, we basically consider it the Trivium account when I'm on tour. And if it was Paulo's or Corey's or Alex's, we would do the same thing for whichever one has the largest reach to bring people into one place at one time.
Yeah. And where do you take the ideas for your content? Because you've been playing Call of Duty, Valorant, Among Us. Do you follow some influencers or streamers? Because, for example, we have, I think they are the biggest streamers in the world here in Spain, like Auronplay or Ibai. I don't know if you know them, but where do you take the ideas for your content?
I mean, Spain, you have the biggest Fortnite streamer ever, right? He like broke the record. I believe he's from Spain, correct? Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was amazing. So I watched that. For me, like, I've tested a bit with the games, but like, I'm a musician first. So I have found that with my channel, usually outsiders looking in, they're like, oh, Matt, you do the video game streaming thing. And I was like, well, the channel is kind of 75% to 90% music first. So it's like me playing Trivium songs for Trivium supporters, the majority of the thing I do. I do find when I play games, the viewership kind of, people start going, all right, well, I saw the music, I'm kind of out. So the gaming needs to be something I want to do. Like, I've tried the thing where, hey, let's try it. Not really a trendy game. Like, I guess a couple of them have inevitably been trendy, but they have been things I've loved. Like, I loved Fortnite. Coincidentally, though, when I would stream Fortnite was when my viewership would go the lowest, because Trivium fans just don't want to watch Fortnite for some reason, even though that's when Fortnite was at its peak. And when I'd be playing with Dakotas, who's my favorite Twitch streamer. Yeah. So some of the ideas have been from me. Some of the ideas have been inspired by the chat, like a random idea. Some of them have been from my Twitch mentors, who are John and Brandon, but I also have a really amazing team, Jimmy, Ray, Fred, all these people that sometimes will pitch these really incredible ideas that end up working out. I remember Ray was one that said, hey, you should have other musicians and you guys just chat. John and Brandon were the ones that said, hey, you should, back when I used to stream Overwatch on PS4 for 20 minutes a day, John and Brandon said, you should stream your vocal exercises and you should stream your Trivium shows and stream your daily practice. And that's the one that really changed the channel. Some of the most successful things have been completely improvisational. One day I was rated by Moraes HD, who's the biggest Portuguese streamer, and his entire chat kept saying, play toy, play toy, play toy. I was like, what the hell is toy? I looked up toy. Toy was still is Portugal's biggest pop star. And I learned one of his songs, Coração da Tenidado. I can't really speak Portuguese, but I was trying to read along and I figured it out and played it. The next day, my cover made national radio and national newspapers. And then Toy covered a Trivium song on a pop TV show. So sometimes random things happen like that. Or like the Witcher cover. Fans kept saying, hey, Matt, is that you on the Witcher song? I was like, it's absolutely not, but I'll check it out. I checked it out, learned it, played it. Then the composer who wrote the song was really into it. Same thing with making a Richard Marx song, asking Richard Marx to guest on it. So a lot of it's improvisation, sometimes from fans. My whole silly, stupid shit posting memes thing, I learn it from my chat. They teach me and they keep me up to date with all the funniest, weirdest, silliest stuff. Like today, that dumb poutine these nuts in your mouth joke I posted online. We came up with that on stream. So it's just a lot of like spitballing and making things happen. And sometimes they hit it, sometimes they miss the mark, but it's a lot of playing around. I think that's what people love so much about my channel. It's so, while I am an incredibly prepared, I don't want to say calculated in a bad sense person, like I try to make sure everything's very formulaic and the approach is correct. And I like to have schedules and stuff. It's the same way we write Trivium stuff. So tie this back into the new record. I like to come into everything that I like extremely prepared, but I like to organically improvise on top of that. So all of us in the band, we're super rehearsed at everything we do. My channel is mostly me practicing for Trivium stuff, but when we walk into the room together, we have a couple riffs prepared, and then it's improvisation. It's how can we make something that makes us feel good? And now that I think about it, that's actually the same way I do jujitsu. Like jujitsu, I like to learn the things that I need to learn, that I have to learn, things that I want to learn. But when I grapple or when I roll, it is completely improvisational. And most of my partners are like, your game doesn't make any sense. I was like, well, I forget a lot of the stuff I should know. So I like to just play around. It's the same thing with music, same thing with writing, same thing with video games, same things with streaming, same things with life. I like to come in incredibly prepared, but essentially improvise my own way.
And the last question, because I think we don't have enough time. You have a European tour this fall, but will it be postponed, or do you know something about that? Because it's not official yet.
Man, we keep trying to check on updates ourselves. Luckily, a tour this size, and this is the exact same thing I said about Megadeth, Lamb of God, Hatebreed, Trivium before I even knew what was going to happen. The first time that tour announced, I think it was postponed like once or twice. I said, thankfully, it's a tour this size, this organized. A tour this size can be moved. If it was something headlining, something smaller, it'd be much more difficult. I truly hope not. I mean, we're rehearsed, we're ready to go. The tickets are on sale. The tickets are crushing it. The lineup's insane. You know, just preparing for hypotheticals, and I'm not because I've heard anything. So I'm just putting this out because we're all online here. If it has to be moved, the worst case, it gets moved versus it getting pulled. I just hope it doesn't. But I know the hard part right now with Europe is every single country has different regulations, restrictions with people coming in. I know our country is not necessarily reciprocating on people from other countries coming into ours. So I don't know what the stakes are of Americans going into different countries on a daily basis. So.
Spain is awful in that way because we have one of the highest percentages of vaccination, but we have the strongest restrictions for shows. There are no shows with people standing, you know.
Damn. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's almost like, you know, hearing all that, and if it becomes that difficult, if we just move things and that way we can have shows the way we all remember them, because I just got to do that here and it was worth the wait. So if that's a quote, it's worth the wait, man. I mean, we had such a freaking blast on this last tour. Unfortunately, Canada was moved, but Canada wasn't canceled. So Europe, hope it happens. We're planning for it to happen. If it doesn't, at least it gets moved.
Yeah. So, well, Matt, thank you for your time. We will see you here next time you play in Barcelona. Actually, awesome. I'm friend of some of the guys who were singing with you at Resurrection Fest. Cajal,
I love those
Rata.
dudes. Yeah.
I will take a beer in a few minutes with them. So I will say hello from.
Please all do a shot for me and pretend I'm there. So awesome. I love those guys. Please tell them all that. I say, hey, I love Jordi. I love Kajal. I love Joaquin. I love all those guys. Amazing guys. So please tell them I say hello. Perfect. Muchas gracias, amigo. Hasta luego.
Muchas gracias. Thank you very much.
Hasta luego.